Welcome back to the channel for another video on our 22 WRX. Today's finally the day. We're going to see how much this car makes on the dyno. Today we are at National Speed. They do have a dyno jet here. We do have an appointment today. We are scheduled to be here at 8:20. It's about 8:10 right now. It's about 45 degrees, so pretty chilly. I'm sure it's going to warm up a little bit by the time we get on the dyno. I'm not sure what the schedule's like, but I think we're supposed to be the first one on the dyno. Not sure if they're going to do a PDI, but we did our own PDI. I actually did another one last night. I just went over all the fluids. I actually jacked up the car again and just double checked everything, and everything was tight. So we were no harm in checking, but everything was already good to go. So today should go smooth. So I'll catch up with you guys in a few minutes. All right, catching up with you guys again. We're behind the shop. We're about to get the car put in. I just spoke with the dyno operator and we are all set. So let me get you guys set up and we'll get some pulls in. Let's go. All right, so we just finished our dyno pulls. Let me turn you around and I'll show you how much we made. Alright, so after that quick dyno session, we did try in fourth gear. Fourth gear, it really didn't like it, so we continued on in third gear. These are the numbers that we made in third: 408, 413. This right here, this feels really good on the street, and you can see the power does carry out. Does fall off a little bit. This is a pump gas tune, so we do have to pull timing a little bit in the top end, but there we go. That's what she made. We're gonna get the car unstrapped and we'll head home. I'll catch up with you guys at the garage and we'll go over some of the numbers in the graph. Let's go. All right, so we made it back to the garage. The car did well on the dyno. It had no issues with the PDI. They did actually pull a spark plug and just check the plugs. They did also do a smoke leak test on it as well, and it passed everything. So we went on the dyno, it strapped up everything fine. Once he got everything calibrated, he did a fourth gear pull, just trying to see what the car was happy with on the dyno. Every car is a little different, but we tried fourth gear because that is the 1-to-1, and it really didn't like putting that much load starting at I think he started at 2,000 RPMs. So we did the rest of the pulls in third gear. It was just much happier, and it made great power. So the power that we did make 408 and 413 foot-pounds of torque. Now this is on pump gas 93. I'm sure if we're on E85 we could easily crank it up some more. I do like that we're at a safe 410 horsepower. I feel like 410 is a pretty safe number for this engine, especially since we're having the boost kick in much later. Usually when you have boost kick in much later rather than a small peaky turbo, usually that's easier on the engine. So I feel like 410 is a really easy number for this engine to make. And I really think that it would last a long time at this power level. So I know there's a lot of discussion and a lot of virtual dyno graphs going around on Facebook and just going around online or on Instagram. I did kind of talk about that in the last video, how I'm not really sure how accurate those are, but it is nice to just give you a ballpark of where you're at. But in no means do I think that they're more accurate than going to a physical dyno. That being said, I did log one of the pulls that we made 408 and 413 foot-pounds of torque on. I'll show that on the screen right now. Now that virtual dyno graph says 426 and 390 something foot-pounds of torque. So obviously that's not nearly as accurate or close to these numbers, as we were making more torque than horsepower, and this says about 408. Now if you look at that graph, if you just want to scroll back and look at that graph again, next to the gear, which is third gear, that we logged of course, there's the vehicle weight. So and it says 3,500 and change. So I got that weight from, I just Googled 22 WRX limited trim, because the limited has the sunroof, a couple other options, so it does weigh it down a little bit. So I put that weight in plus my weight, which is about 220. So I put that in, and that's where those numbers came from. Now when you look at these virtual dyno graphs that are posted, you'll see some of these weights over 3,800 pounds. So that's what I did on this next virtual dyno graph that you're going to see. It is the exact same pull. All I did was change the vehicle weight. I just increased it by 200 pounds, so it's 38 and change. And just look on Facebook and look at some of the vehicle weights. It's over 3,800. But enough talking, I'll show you the 3,800 virtual dyno. And just like that, we made an easy 450 wheel. I mean, you could fudge any of these numbers on this virtual dyno graph. There are a couple other numbers that you have to put in to make sure that's correct. next to the weight you can see the tire. I think it's measuring the diameter. So what you have to do is just put in the tire size. So you just have to make sure you have the correct tire size in there. Obviously, changing the tire size completely changes the dynograph as well. So all that I'm trying to say is that the virtual dyno, there's a lot of variables that make it inaccurate, and you can physically see some of those variables online on these dynographs that are posted. The weights are all over the place. I have seen some at like 3,600. I've seen some at 3,800. Unless you're 400 plus pounds, like there's a lot of 400 plus pound people, I guess, driving this car that are getting their car tuned and getting these virtual dynographs posted. Going to an actual dyno is definitely the definitive way of getting a number. Now there are dyno jets, Mustang dynos, dyno dynamics. There's a bunch of different types of dynos. Mustang dynos are generally just known to read a little bit lower. Dyno jets are kind of the industry standard. This was on a dyno jet. That's what National Speed has. So overall, I'm really happy with the experience making 408 and 413 on pump gas on a stock engine car. It definitely makes me happy that everything's running well and the power level's really safe, especially for the transmission. The car does have a 6-speed swap, so we really have no fear of really anything happening to the drivetrain. There are some upgrades that we can still do. I do want to get a carbon fiber drive shaft soon in the future, so we'll be installing that on the channel whenever I get around to getting that ordered. But what I'm trying to say is there's more to come. Just since we have the turbo kit on, that doesn't mean that's the end of this journey. We haven't really touched the suspension. Obviously we're lowered on some Fortune Autos. We did a couple bushings, but we do have some sway bars and some aftermarket end links that we need to get put on. So more to come. Until next time, see you guys.